Hello and welcome to another session of Godbound. We are deep in it. Our pantheon last time dealt with a parasite god, and a few other things occurred that were more or less dramatic, depending on your viewpoint. There were a lot of differing perspectives on what occurred, I think is the best way to put it. But the bottom line is that Lancena has been rid of this parasite god who had come in and taken over. East Lancena is in chaos. You don't know what that's going to mean, but quite possibly a split between the two sides of that nation, East and West Lancena. And we take up with the group returned back to Bashala, back at the Assassin's Library, with the rapidity that only you can provide, Captain, that will allow you to come back with much haste. So you are level 4 now, and all of that should be, all of the pink things should be auto adjusting, so you should be good on that. But Tyler, let me come to you. You will have gotten 2 points to spend on words, and you can take a new fact, reflecting what has happened. So let's start with the easy one. Have you chosen your words?
I did. I had saved up enough that I could get a new word. And then I thought about it and said, I don't really think I want a new word. I think I just want to get a greater power and a lesser power.
Okay.
And so I did. I got the greater power, a stolen crown, which allows me to commit effort for a scene, target a visible creature, and I can steal a divine gift or supernatural power from them. I can't take a whole word, but I can take a gift, and it's automatically successful. Though a creature cannot be robbed more than one power at a time. And if they don't like it, they can, in the morning, they can roll to try and get it back. Otherwise, it's mine until I use it.
And that's worthy foes. If you've stolen from a lesser foe, they don't even get a chance to get it back until you decide that they should get it back.
Right. And if I use it, I don't have to spend the effort for it. It goes off, but then it returns to them immediately.
Delicious.
And then the other thing I got were Eyes of the Hunting Hawk, which I gain incredible visual acuity. I'm able to see any target see at any light level and clearly pick out the smallest details of a target closer than the horizon. So pretty darn good. Non-magical stealth is useless against me, and mundanely hidden items or features become obvious.
We get that Star Wars binoc effect when you kind of shake and then zoom in on things. Okay. That sounds good. Have you thought about what you want in terms of a fact?
I think I'm going to do something maybe kind-hearted or something like that.
Oh, I like that. Let me come then to Tassos. Have you selected your gifts?
I did. I am incapable of long-term planning, and so I obviously just bought all the lesser gifts I could get my hands on.
Okay.
Points come in, points go out. They never really stay. But from shape-shifting, I took Knack of the Borrowed Shape. So previously when I changed into stuff, I could like speak the language of the thing and move like they move, but now I can do any weird stuff that they do. So like if I turn into a small dragon, I can breathe some fire. If I turn into a blink dog, I can blink like a dog, things like that. And then from endurance, I picked up Untiring Inspiration, which has a constant effect where one of the influence projects that I'm working on gets a free influence added to it, which I've added to Nguyen Lao for the moment.
Okay.
So she's actually influence 3 at the moment. So I want to play around with her and do some.
Yeah, let's definitely have some in-house scenes today on that.
And then I can also use it as an action, and all allies within 100 yards are perpetually refreshed and not in need of rest, eating, drinking, or breathing. Sounded fun.
That's very nice. Have you thought about a fact?
Facts are evil. I forgot there was a thing, and it's the worst part,
Sure,
and I hate
absolutely.
it all. But last session I did nail down a couple of facts. One being about the Assassin's Library, and being the Saint of Terror Cats, the Alabaster Order of Assassins that hunt down nightmares and guard the world from a weird pit of Night Road. And then about Lancena, that magic is not to be feared and paranoia is not to be fed.
Okay, I like that. Let us come to Threadless.
Hi.
So, have you, in the few moments that I've given you,
Yes. It's totally unfair. I had no warning this was happening.
no warning, none whatsoever. And
what do you want to? Oh yes, I did. I'm choosing a couple of smaller abilities.
Okay.
So the first is a bow one, which is called Omnipresent Reach, and it's awesome. Let's see here. It's on my sheet, but it would require me clicking to the right tab, which is almost impossible for me. Okay, so it's a constant skill, which is of course a bargain. My ranged weapon has a maximum range as far as my natural line of sight. My missile weapons always do at least 1d10 and are treated as magical weapons. Even without a bow or gun, I may cast bolts of force or conjured weapons for 1d10 damage. And then apparently pistols and rifles of the Bright Republic work for me, whatever that means.
The optional, a set of optional things. I remember you had this in combination with Eyes of the Hunting Hawk that Tyler took.
From Beasts, yeah, and I could, and then I had another thing where I could go through cover, and yeah, there was nothing, and then I got one that I could take out entire groups of people with. But that was a specialist in bow. This is just so I do a little bit more damage, and it's defined how it works. So a tiny minor improvement on what I have, and it's constant, so it doesn't cost anything.
And so you still have another point worth of gift to buy.
Yes, and I think I know what I'm gonna get, but
you think on that.
Okay.
Have you and think about your fact.
My fact. I think I might have already picked something, but yeah, sure.
Okay.
I will do that. Wait, how many facts are we supposed to be up to?
Let's see. You started with 3,
Mhm.
And you should have gotten 3 more. So
Okay.
6.
Cool. All right, I'm all for it.
Ivedro Odevi, have you selected your gifts?
Yes. I chose a universal gift called Effort of the Word, which basically allows me to increase my maximum effort by 1 point. And then I chose Illuminate That Which Is, which is a gift, a lesser gift of the sun. And it's basically like a giant divine flashlight. My radiance limits magical effects on people, banishes magical darkness, dispels mortal illusion, and reveals magical items.
Excellent. And it looks to me like you got your facts in order too.
Yes, I definitely did not just write this right now.
You can tune that up as you wish.
Yes, but I thought, well, he was watching the riot from afar, and so now maybe he sort of internalized how mobs work, mob mentalities.
That seems like a good plan. So let us return back to the Assassin's Library. You've put a number of things sort of into play with your dominion, so on. Shrines have been built. Those are completed by this point. The shrine aboard your ship, the shrines within the various branches of the Assassin's Library, We have the starting point of the school. The scholars have moved in, have taken up teaching residence, and some of like the people that would normally come here to visit the library, the young, like looking for a chance to learn, normally would have been turned away. Some of them maybe stayed on to join the families of the servants, but now when they come, your associate in town, Hosk, directs them up to you, or Devi. So you probably already have a set of students and a kind of a, let me ask you this, like what are the key things that or Devi's school is teaching? Like what kinds of scholarship is going on there?
That is a good question. I think we are using a curriculum that I say is based on the Assassin's Guild curriculum, but I've basically ripped everything out of that to try and create more well-rounded folks. And as someone who's steeped in knowledge, I think it ends up sort of being more scientific and philosophical inquiry. A lot of those and social sciences.
Okay.
And maybe we're not really well known for the humanities.
Okay. So natural science, the
Right.
sciences, certain kinds of rhetoric,
Yes.
real classic things. Like, here's a question for you. A lot of the old scholarship about the gods and theocratic engineering and those kinds of things, are you including that? That's something that's fallen out of favor elsewhere. Or are you kind of steering clear of that?
Yes, but I think it's very much through the lens of history.
Okay.
Rather than like, I mean, unfortunately, Ordevi isn't the one who entirely runs the school. Evedro runs the school. So there is a lot of arrogance kind of woven through.
Okay.
This.
And how are the students organized? Do they all have their own rooms? Do you have dorms? Do you have houses? Like how are you organizing them? Or are they all just, here are all the students, sleep where you have a bed?
Yeah, I think we've preserved the assassins yellow, green, and blue organization. So students with stronger interests in certain areas end up belonging to one of those guilds, I guess.
Excellent.
Yeah, there's sort of 3 dormitories each with those. They're not really it's not a Harry Potter situation. Right. It's just more like a loose organization.
Excellent. So let me come back to Captain Ransom. What are you up to? What are you have some weeks here to yourself following the fall of this. Is there anything you want to have done? Is there anything you want to have looked into? Do you want to do a scene with NPCs or what is it? What do you want, Captain?
I think that I'm spending time trying to help organize this town into the, kind of pirate haven, the peaceable place that I'd envisioned for it. I'm going amongst all the captains that come in and sort of trying to instill this brotherhood of the sea sort of mentality to us that, going out and doing our dirty work or not so dirty work to others is one thing, but that we all have to kind of look out for and take care of each other. sort of concept, and that this is that home base where people can come back to, and maybe working on the idea of we can develop this place into something better and greater. That we need in the practical sense, we could use better dry dock, and we could use better people here to fix things. But in the larger sense, that there are things that we could do both to help and to expand the liberty of these islands, especially if we're having to look at much larger empires coming and screwing with us. That will not be good for us at all.
Let me ask you this. One of the things is that Bashala does exist at the sufferance of Gesnia, the mainland empire. Like you were told when you came here not to interfere or interdict or mess with anything from that mainland empire. And Hosk will tell you that like Gesnia claims this island as its realm, as part of its spheres. And we do pay a decent amount to maintain that relationship. I fear, though, should we expand too far with larger, more formal dry dock facilities and more regular trade and things like that, that there may be some issues that arise on that side of things. So you may wish to consider how you wish to handle that.
And this is also the kingdom that I've heard has an undead dragon problem as well.
No, that is the southern kingdoms, kind of the kingdom of south, that is Arwen Shah.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah, they are actually separated by kind of a couple of bays, and also this enormous land bridge called the Bridge of Furies that has a perpetual storm and wave and fury that goes on it that keeps them apart. Some people say that a god died there, and that's why.
That's interesting. I'll take that under consideration. Then we may have to engage in some sort of diplomacy so that our independence is recognized. I don't wish to see our home the vassal of any place. That is anathema to my entire concept of what is here. Not to mention my friends, I'm sure, will not want to be paying taxes to some kingdom. One in particular would really be opposed if I could think of it.
Yes, as I understand it, the king of Gesnia is a little greedy.
Wow. We will just have to teach him that he should keep his fingers to his own pies.
Yes, we have been very lucky. I know that there have been other places that have not done as well by him.
Don't worry yourself, Husk. I shall take care of it. Don't worry one bit.
The other thing that you will hear when one of these, and I don't think we actually had you interact. You interacted with Rutal, but you didn't really interact with the other two pirate captains we have there. But they'll be the recurring pirate captains. But Derahi, who is your coffee supplier here, because he comes from Kajafir, he comes in and
he's cute.
Yes. He has brings news, and he will say, I was trailing a set of caravan sloops moving through the southern waters when out of nowhere, this would have been off the coast of Daskatir, a storm rose, and a set of enormous ships. They were man and a half. I could see in the distance the crew upon them, 11, 12 feet tall, and crackling with the storm itself. I'd heard about these storm soul pirates, that they had been operating to the further east, but they seem to have expanded, and they took out this. I mean, they didn't even go for booty or for anything. They simply struck and destroyed the ships. We turned sail and got away, but they pursued us when they saw us in the area. But
that is two offenses.
Yes, I had stopped at a couple of other ports on the way between then and here, and I've heard that they have been more active, attacking, raiding, and so on. They're described as storm giants.
That is worth looking into. It is just unheard of to not take booty. Those are merely raiders. That's no pirate.
No, I know. It does not do anyone any good.
Thank you very much for this information.
Yes, thank you. Kind of, he's been gone for a few weeks, so changes have already started to occur. So he looks around, sort of still kind of taken aback at how much has changed in this short a time. Tassos, what are you up to? Who do you want to talk to?
So I think if we're seeing like sort of montage scenes of time going by, we see Tassos down in that shrine over the well, as they're just like sitting there on the edge of the well, diving down into this god, this thing's dreams, mind, unconscious, anything that they can sort of bathe in and experience. Who I want to talk to those? I think I'd like to talk to Nuan Lao.
So what do you think? It isn't mind control, but what do you think investing that much influence in someone looks like?
Well, for her, it's all channeling through the shape-shifting word. So I think she had those really bad injuries from the battle, and everyone getting fried by Ordevi. And so those, the first sort of sign is that they heal up much faster than they should, and there's just like no scarring, perfect skin. But I think it starts being tied to her emotions before it becomes fully a conscious thing she could control. Of like her body starts adapting and shifting, probably like animalistic forms and features, because that would be sort of a natural thing to reach for, rather than some of the weird like nightmare stuff that Tassos does.
So it is much more that she is her changing in terms of powers and gifts and body and soul, but not in terms of mind.
No, if there's anything of her mind, like I'm hoping from a meta level to sort of like detach her maybe from.
So let me describe what her mindset is, and you can tell me how you want to work with this.
Okay.
She is a divinely chosen agent of an enemy empire that has been sent here to undermine everything going on in the continents. And she was given a divine gift, the mask, that has been taken from her.
I think the hope is that, like, I'm not actively trying to dissuade her from any of that, but trying to convince her that she could, like, she's on a sort of different scale, a different level now. She could make these sort of decisions for herself. Like, if she wants to continue a holy crusade against people that aren't our particular assassins, because we're very, you know, invested in them in particular, that she can, but that it should be her choice, that she was sort of divinely chosen for this mission, but she has some piece of divinity in her now. She is something different than what she was when she accepted that mask. And of course, all of the masks are gone anyways. How could she even get her hands on one? We don't even know where any are.
Let's have you make a charisma roll.
My charisma roll is mediocre. And I think I'll, despite my doubt that I ever would, I think I'll pull on a fact.
What?
I know, right? But when I was playing around with being other people and walking through other people's lives and dreams, I have a fact about 1,000 faces, 1,000 lives. I think I can sort of speak to her of this, like, detachment from what you were before and what you could be now.
Interesting. Okay, let's see that happen.
That's an 18, though. Is that good or bad?
That's good.
Oh, okay, yay.
This is a game where high is always good, with the exception of AC.
Nope, I'm not going to focus on that.
All right. Here's the thing: is you want the other person's AC to be high. Yeah. So I do think that she is caught in this. That she's not quite certain. I think that it is as a set of her feeling that change in herself, and like it's more that she stops like arguing, like being angry because other things are occupying her mind, and you can tell that is sort of the first step. She still lashes out when you're arrogant to people.
She doesn't live. I'm sure she doesn't love living in the house of the people that she was sent specifically to overthrow.
Exactly. But it's more that once she's tried to, like, maybe in her mind, like, find a way that she can reconcile with it, and then Tassos is Tassos. And
yeah, I mean, Tassos will let her take out any aggression she has on themselves. Like, she'll let her, they'll let her cut them open and, like, attack them and whatever.
Oh yeah, that isn't particularly helpful for the long running relationship, but you are able to start down that path. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, I'm sort of curious, like, how did she become what she is? Is this something she, like, trained for since childhood, or was she chosen special at a certain point, or did she feel called to it? Like, what led her to this?
She will tell you that some people, the gift mask is given to them because that the people in the know know about the absence of a mask or mask is returned and so on. But I was a child, and I was walking along a brook, and I looked down, and in the bottom of the brook, there was this mask. And I picked it up and I put it on.
And these masks are all like native to the Kingdom of Ours, right?
There are X number, there are 100 and something masks. They all have names. Some of them are lost, but most of them are there.
They killed their gods to make them.
That's it. And they have sort of a lucky penny thing of they keep coming back even when they get lost, right? I mean, to that area.
It is a little bit of that. It is the more of them that occupy an area, the stronger that effect grows. So just having one of these masks, eventually over time, it will find its way back. But if you have 2 or 3 or more, that power to go home, to be drawn back to the capital, increases.
Interesting. So they can be like collected to make their own gravitational pull.
Exactly. And she'll say it's not unusual. I knew another woman who also found her mask in a stream like I did, though she was a more idealistic than I.
If you were walking by a stream today and you found one, what would you do?
I would put it on.
Why?
It chose me. If I'm the one who found it, then it chose me. Let's move on to Threadless. Threadless, you've had some time to build, create, so on. Your work has established this school, has split it off and built the connections to new places, and you've gotten the young folks organized in a structure there. Some of the assassins are still getting used to that.
That's okay. It'll take their time. That's okay. Like I said, I think one of the things is that Vedro has like created this school that's very Vedro.
Yes.
And I think that I was like would like a small curriculum on my own, if you don't mind, a few little classes there. I'll say more practical in nature, just to help with traveling and things like that.
Vedro, what's your reaction to that?
I suppose every respected university needs like a vocational program.
Exactly, vocational. I like that word. I'm going to embroider it on something.
It didn't sound threatening at all, but go on.
There is no threat
on your flesh. I think that would be fine. Do you have any students expressing interest?
And I think she'll look back at the kids. She'll go, I don't know. Would you want to take some classes?
All the kids, like, they've just been working, and if you offer them like, hey, you can take a few hours off to learn something, their hands are up.
All right.
I think they look back from you to me, and then they're like, yeah, we'll go.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that essentially her curriculum she is very much like, okay, let's create something to teach practical weaponry skills in building and making, basic machines, building and making, with room for that to get better. And oddly enough, probably doctoring, midwives and doctors.
Okay.
And because those would be practical skills, for Vedro. He has theory about how the body works, but when push comes to shove, you better have, some way to fix it back up.
Once you kind of get that into play, there will be some requests that come from, keep in mind, a lot of these kids have family
Mhm.
and the service thing. There'll be requests from them that maybe you would come and meet with their doctors and their midwives and
Absolutely.
share your sets of knowledge there.
Exactly. And I will happily do that, but also have them share their knowledge and their things so that we can essentially bring that in. I have no problem with slowly, essentially the long-term thing would be to build an order of I'd say healers.
Okay.
Okay. And probably their thing that they're particularly good with is midwifery in some ways, but also.
Are you investing influence, or do you want to spend dominion on this?
Dominion in the school and influence on, let's see here. How about, so I think dominion in the school just to.
Yeah, I think to the school thing kind of complements what you've already got. I think that makes sense. And I think that saying that a practical effect is accretion, if you want to have that the healing knowledge will be trained, if you want to have a healers that perhaps within a soon while can go out and can treat and things like that and become a resource, that'd be another influence or dominion to do that.
Okay, that so I would do a dominion. How much dominion do you think it would be?
It's an order, so we're talking just one.
Okay, I'll do that. And then an influence, sure, to have slowly build the order. And essentially the whole idea is just to go, hey, here's a group of people who have a set of skills. They come back, they regularly update each other on, we keep like everyone as much as we can updated on new methods that seem efficacious, because she has no problem with learning per se, but she also has a lot of gifts and she can see what works, particularly of course with
and I assume that on the practical side, these are your faithful.
All right.
For purposes of apotheosis.
Apotheosis. Professor Vedro, how do you say that again? So, that sounds great. That perfect. A set of doctors, yes.
Okay. So that seems like a fine thing that you can set your mind to and be putting into play. Professor Vedro, got your school in play. Once you establish that, it starts kind of running itself because you've built it that way. Is there someone you want to talk to NPC wise, or is there something you want to research, find out more about, generally or specifically? What would you like to do?
I want to install Tintefa as kind of in charge of all academics there. So despite constantly giving him a hard time, I do respect him as an academic. So we can do something.
What's the title that you give to him?
Yeah. Head of Learning and Curricula. Hang on. Maybe just senior advisor.
Senior advisor
of learning and curricula.
Senior.
It's never quite good enough. Yeah. But I also want to appoint Yashad as a associate professor.
They will be most pleased. I certainly I will be glad to teach lectures on murder, violence, and death.
If you could sort of put that in a ethical and moral framework, as well as teach it in over the eons of our world history. I think that would be really, really helpful. I hope I'm inspired by Threadless's work, and I would like the students of this school, those who don't go into healing, to serve as advisors throughout the land, to help our kingdoms become pinnacles of intellectual pursuit.
Certainly, certainly. I am without morals or ethics, so perhaps you could provide me like a framework of what you would wish taught as the moral and ethical framework.
It sounds
I
like
attempt to be instrumentalist.
Sounds maybe the vocational school is a better place for you. But maybe for at least the first year, you should co-teach with a professor of philosophy.
Certainly, if you provide me a reading list of morality, I'll get right on that.
I'm standing behind a Vedro, rolling my eyes.
I can certainly provide you a thorough reading list of all the ethical thinkers from the ancient ones to right up into the shattering.
Sure,
So,
sure. I just need the ones you want me to stick to, like which ones you want me to adhere to. And I can teach those.
I feel like maybe you should just be the gym teacher for now. The kids need exercise. We want to make sure that they are fit. And I'm starting to distrust your ability to keep the children safe. I mean, they're not small children. They're not small children, but they are precious to someone, presumably. So is it maybe feasible? Maybe we just start out with physical education. Maybe you should just observe a couple of phys ed classes, and you and I can meet regularly to talk about ascending into assistant coach.
Maybe I will return to my own studies, Professor.
I'm standing behind him, and I'm holding up, a crossbow, hold up an awesome bow. I hold up a sword.
You shot storms off.
Wow. Wow. A Vedro.
I mean, I was offering a position. I just feel like trying to find the right position for someone so consumed with violence. Maybe it was not my best idea.
I think she would be really good at drawing diagrams, and that's valuable.
Diagrams,
Yes.
like of fighting.
Yeah.
All right, well, I will see if she wants to teach a drafting class.
How about a fighting style class?
Okay. Well, that's what I was going with the gym, but then as I thought about it more, I started to get wrapped around the axle because I worried that a lot of these kids maybe don't have proper physical training, and that she might not be aware of how to gradually ease them in.
Oh, it would be terrible if someone were teaching these poor children and was not cognizant of their limitations or needs. Yes, I am completely with you, Professor Vedro.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I mean, I've long been an academic and a brilliant scholar, but this is the first time I've actually had to run a school.
Maybe what you need is an administrator who has run schools before. They could assist with all of those details so you wouldn't have to bother yourself.
Did you have someone in mind?
Well, I myself haven't spent much time in said academic environments, but I would think that you probably know someone, if you think back, someone who bothered you with paperwork and that sort of thing. It's those kinds of people.
You think I want a bureaucrat running this school?
This is what they're for. Attending to details that are beneath the more high thinking individuals.
Right. More effective people. Yeah.
Excuse me. As senior advisor for learning and curriculum,
Can Debbie not-
I give him a big wink, like he did good on that.
Then Debbie, not now. Threadless and I are talking. We're trying to-
might I suggest that given that I understand that they put the school in Lansena to the torch, that maybe we might want to send some people to recruit from there. Might find some people who are familiar with school administration.
I'm gonna have to promote you to senior advisor. That is a really good idea.
Thank you. The second senior says it all.
Do you know any of the people that were there?
I would if perhaps Captain Ransom were to take a trip. I could travel with him since his boat travels like lightning.
Yes.
And I could see about recruiting perhaps some displaced students and a few staff people.
That sounds good.
With your permission, Professor.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide if Vedro would actually now be slightly terrified of having to run the place without him while he goes on this journey, or if he just assumes that he can manage it on his own. I think he knows that this is not really his thing. How long will you be gone? Can you come back pretty soon?
I will speak with Captain Ransom and we will see. I can't imagine it'd be more than a week or two.
What if I went? And I'm like the face of the school. I feel like I might be really effective at recruiting.
Oh, no, we need you here.
All right. Do what you have to do.
Yes, yes, sir.
You will come back, right?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't I? This is such a valued position here in a wonderful school.
Your promotion is contingent on you coming back.
I think my job is contingent upon me coming back, so that your logic is flawless and impeccable as always. With your leave.
Yes. Do what you got to do. Is there someone that you've entrusted to help run the school?
No, not yet.
All right. We should be fine.
I assumed that if I left, that certainly you would be able to manage.
I will see if Yashad can help with this part of it. That should be fine.
Certainly. I wish I could be here for that conversation. Let's do this. Let's take our first break. Let's take 10. And when we come back, let's do the four of you together talking about what's next and who you want to talk to and all of that kind of thing. So about the 6 after. So we take up a lot of things have been put into play. We can figure out whether this is before or after Ransom has taken a trip back to Lansena to see how things are and stuff. And certainly we can hand wave that. You have some things you've heard about. You have the situation with Gesnia, the mainland, how you want to handle that. You have Threadless's king that she wants to hunt down and dispatch at some point. You have the interesting Bridge of Furies that I've mentioned. You have a city with an undead breathing dragon. You have Storm Soul pirates. You have this lost temple that you got the location and maps to last time, that the parasite god was at. And of course you have the mask folk themselves, trying to track them down. So there's a lot of things potentially interesting on the table. So we've
Is that
yeah.
thing that threatens the children that planted the seed, is that at the temple, we think? Is
That
that
is-
those
that's
two things,
associated
are
with the
one and the
temple,
same?
yeah.
Okay.
So we take up with the meeting place that we kind of described last time. Threadless, what have you done to make this meeting place kind of to your satisfaction?
I think that I have created a set of like wall hangings that go from the very, very high ceilings, like 100 feet up, all the way down. And they are a sort of, they are a map of the library, if that makes any sense.
Excellent. Yeah.
So,
Tassos, if we see one of those white cats on, in our scene here, how do we know that they are different than they used to be?
I think I think we see them in their sort of like robes of office, if they're going around being especially devout, which is a white cat in like sort of Starfield black cloak. But I think you also see them every now and then. They'll do that thing that cats do, where they just like suddenly stop and look at a place where there's nothing going on and sort of freak out for a minute. Except when they do that, they then go rushing towards it and pull out some like screaming, multi-hued, technicolor little rodent spirit thing and eviscerate it.
Excellent. Professor Evedro, what about your appearance tells us that you have been involved in this whole school thing? Is your manner of dress different? Do you look more harried? Do you have some symbol of office? Like what do we see that tells us that this has been going on?
Yeah, I think I've adopted a logo that I very, very carefully researched and went through several design iterations and got a lot of feedback that I ignored. And it's kind of a book with a sun behind it. It's got a sun book logo. It's kind of cheesy, but I loved it. And I decided to render it in the three colors, the kind of the green and the yellow and the blue,
Nice.
to kind of as a little throwback to the Assassin's Guild. So
Excellent.
yeah, it's sort of piping all over my robes has been added.
And Captain Ransom, you've got a little more respected position here. People here in the Assassin's Guild, when they come to ask questions of the group, they come to you. People in town, when they see you, they acknowledge you. The pirates, come and check in with you, that kind of thing. So what is different about you?
I think I'm not really used to the people here at the guild coming to me. That's still surprising. I very much think of that as a Vedro or Threadless's sort of area. That always surprises me. The town, that I do have a certain feeling of ownership for, but to reflect my better, my somewhat more respectable position, I think that I have, I have gotten a fancier hat, because nothing says authority like a fancier hat.
And how fancy is this hat?
We're
does it look
talking
like?
full Captain Hook, the big brim, and enormous ostrich feather. I do mine in scarlet, I think, but it is and very good at the flourishing when need be. And I've also taken to wearing a shirt on occasion with many ruffles.
Little John Pertwee, third Doctor kind of ruffles, but maybe even bigger than that.
Yes, but
Well, let me tack a lace for them.
It is still open, nearly to my navel, but there is a shirt now.
Yes. So, and I will put this in mind. So I am open if people are available to, if we want, we've got this month to finish out where we get to on this. I am open to doing another quarter at the beginning of 2022, doing the first quarter of 2022, if you guys are interested. I'm seeing thumbs up. So let us plan that accordingly. Okay. That's what we're going to do. So just so you don't go, oh, we're not going to be able to get to everything. You can get to what you want here, and then we will tackle the rest in Q1 2022. So Tyler, what do you say?
Well, it has come to my attention that our little island is not as independent as I originally thought. We're actually part of a kingdom, and they've been paying taxes.
What are taxes?
Well, they're
Presumably they'd pay those to us now, right?
well. First off, that would have to be discussed, but no, at the moment, it is sort of to keep this kingdom from, say, coming in and causing problems.
Let's take it to them then.
And I will make sure they pay taxes to us.
Well, I don't see any reason for not having some tariffs, perhaps, but that's neither here nor there. The kingdom itself is something that we should maybe put on our docket. There's also, Vedra, have you ever heard of storm giants? There's a whole mess of them pirating. Well, they're not even really pirating. They're just attacking ships and sinking them.
Are they giants?
Well, they are.
Storm Soul pirates?
Yeah, that's the word.
I heard it. I heard that word before.
Well, yes, of course I've heard of the Storm Soul pirates. Their history dates back 2 millennia, and they have a long history of positive and productive trade with the kingdoms to the north, to the Empire of Ghosts. But over time, maybe you don't want all of this history. Yes, I've heard of them. I understand that they're jerks.
Well, they're encroaching more and more into our waters. That may be something else we will have to deal with in the near future.
Did you say our waters? Which ones are our waters? Can we have a map?
Well, I have actually been trying to put together, and I have been searching out maps. That's one of my big things. And I sort of am figuring a lot of the area is our water.
Surely, if we are paying taxes to this kingdom, then the kingdom is responsible for protecting this island.
Wait, we're paying taxes now?
I would prefer complete independence from this kingdom. And a sure sign of that is to take up our own defense.
Oh, what about a fiery revolution? We're good at those.
Well, if we're in charge, a fiery revolution is really rather a bad thing.
Wait,
Sorry,
wait.
I had a really good time.
At what point do we become in charge of this kingdom then?
Well, I was thinking of that, but perhaps that would be the next logical step.
We could put it on our map then.
Yes.
The map
One less
sounds
king.
nice. I have to say though, running an entire kingdom sounds like it would take a lot of time. I'm
We'll
running
find
a
people
whole
for that.
shrine right now, and it's chaos. It's absolute chaos.
It's about delegation. Any good captain has to delegate. But before we tackle all of these problems, I would almost propose that we have something already on our plate. There was someone behind this parasite. And are we not in agreement that it should be handled first?
So can I skip us to meta discussion real quick?
Sure.
So my first impulse, if we're looking at doing another run in next year, I really dig the God seeding storyline. And so, like, if we have more time to explore rather than rushing to solve it, I would love to see another example or two of seeded gods that we run into on our
Ooh.
way to circling in on this thing and finding out more about it. You are muted, Lowell.
Oh, Patrick, why did you say
I said, oh, that is an interesting thought.
But you know, just from a player expectation standpoint, but like my thought is to not run straight towards solving it yet. But how do other people feel?
I will say this, whichever path you go, if you go to the temple first, or if you hunt for the others who are seated, either way will not solve the problem. Choose your approach.
Thoughts, folks?
Can I ask another meta question? So
Yes.
the parasite god and the kingdom of ours,
Yes.
empire of ours.
So here's what you
Those
know
are
about
those
that.
related to each other?
What you think happened, what you've kind of drawn the conclusion with your knowledge, skill, and so on, is that agents from the empires of ours clearly had some information or had some way and directed our late friend Arwen Shah towards the temple. Like they knew that there was maybe something there, and directed him that way and guided him. That's the way they tend to operate, is sort of indirectly. And that's how that came around, and that's their connection with it. And that's something certainly that by this point, Patrick, maybe not directly, but Nuanlo will have kind of affirmed that without like directly giving that away.
Because they were also behind the masked people.
Because they are the masked people. Yeah. That's the way they've been operating, is they have agents around trying to push on powers in places to create disruptions to major places so as to weaken the empires here.
Gotcha. So the masked people are sort of like their openly secret forces that they're sending out, but she's sort of hinting at other more secret, more subtle plans out there.
Yeah, that she knows that there are other agents elsewhere on the continent. They tend to work in cells, and they find a place and they carry things out.
Gotcha.
So those are our big bads in this parasite god thing. Is
well, they're one of the two big bads.
Okay, one of the two. Oh, good. There's only two.
Yeah.
Okay, so staying on the meta end, do we think looking into the temple is, Patrick, would you rather not do that and still have that as part of the hook in, or?
I guess I'm sort of saying I'm okay with being distracted by solving some local problems first. Like either the pressing government or the pirates creeping closer seem like a sort of like stabilizing what we're doing to this island sort of thing that I think we could deal
What are
with
your
on the way
thoughts?
to bigger things.
What are your thoughts, Dan? We haven't heard much from
Oh.
you.
I don't have a strong opinion. All of these sound fun. So, yeah, I don't have a strong opinion.
Sherry, I know you were kind of, and I had sort of thought it was our focus in towards the temple, but what are you thinking at this point?
I mean, to me, it's just one of the paths toward the thing that we have to do, and it would tell us more about, you know, how all of this has started to roll out. But I mean, I, of course, adore the local stuff. I just, I tend to be like, if there's a thing, check it off, because again, it will only be one of many things that need to be done. So that is.
If we got 2 people interested in the temple, why don't we go towards the temple, and then we can see if we leave both of these home problems burning, which one of them becomes an active problem by the time we get back. That'll sort of point us towards one.
It was certainly a promise that we made to the kids, was to get those seeds taken care of out of them. Now I have some capabilities that I could call upon with that, but they wouldn't probably be permanent, since I'm not specifically that thing.
All right, then. Sounds like then we go to look into the temple.
Yeah.
All right. So, as we have said, we have these children. We have this mystery. Vedro, you seem to have the university running, or the school here running like clockwork, right?
Oh, 100%. Perfectly smooth, no problems.
I can't
whatsoever.
imagine any problems in the town while we're gone. So, and who knows, we may encounter some giant pirates along the way and teach them a little lesson. Well then, I have a bit of work to do on the ship, and then we could set sail.
All right. Let's do once around then of people you want to talk to, things that you want to do, things you want to get set up before you go on a longer journey. We are going to assume that you have been to Lansana and back, and administrative staff has been gathered. So Captain Ransom, what is it that you want to do in preparation for this? Certainly Cheddar will be asking about where we're headed, Captain.
Oh, Butters.
Sorry. Why did I think Cheddar?
It's
the
all
other
dairy.
And because he's lactose intolerant, they all.
Yes.
Um,
That's your helmsman.
Yeah. I'm going to spend a bit of influence real quick. I
Sure.
have one I think is plausible and one that is implausible. The implausible is I want to have a constantly favorable wind
For your ship?
for my ship.
I think that when you're aboard, I think, let's see, you've got some things that sort of do that, right?
I never have problems with storms, and I never have to worry about reefs.
Okay, so rather than a constantly favorable wind, because that is not your domain, a constantly favorable current
Ooh, okay.
is possible, because that is water, whereas the other would be definitely within the realm of air.
Sky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then my other is, I think, much more plausible. There are always seabirds flying about the ship.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I think that's no problem.
Okay.
I imagine that you've probably got nests built up in the areas. You literally have a crow's nest up there and things, because they are for you as good a set of lookouts
Mhm.
as anything else. So those are easy investment of influence. What do you want to do? What do you want to otherwise set? Who do you want to talk to?
I'd like to speak with Threadless a few moments.
Sure. Let's do that scene. Where do you want to catch her?
I'll ask if she would be. Would you mind coming to the ship?
Oh, yeah. What do you need?
I was thinking that it might be appropriate if we had some sort of weapon
Oh,
for the
awesome.
ship.
What do you want?
I was thinking here at the prow, and I'll kind of point. It'll be, if you're looking at the ship over my shoulder, you see the sails that jut out front.
Mhm.
And I imagine I have some sort of figurehead on it. Underneath the figurehead, do you think you could make like a ballista, or like a big crossbow or
I
something?
thought you would never ask.
It would be very appreciated, and I just think that it'd be appropriate.
All right. Shall I make it look like what kind of bird would you like it to look like? I'll
Ooh.
shape the wings that way.
Oh, I would say probably a Seahawk.
All right then. That's what I will use.
Thank you very, very much.
All right. She goes, well, hey, why don't you go and get us some ales? By the time you're back, I'll probably be pretty close to done.
Well, wow, certainly, and I will.
All right. So I can make this. I mean, that shouldn't be the problem. But can I invest in it so that it is, how should we say, worthy of a gift to my friend and fellow godling?
What that would mean is you're creating a fact for the ship.
Yes.
And so yeah, you can invest to essentially, with your artifice, to create a massive crossbow as a fact for the ship. If you invest dominion, it's a permanent thing in that ship. If you
Okay.
invest influence, you've got it on there. And again, with the influence, if you withdraw it, it's a while before it like falls apart, or you have to go back to repair it, that kind of thing. It's not like the moment that you withdraw influence, it like collapses into the sea or anything.
Well, I think I'll do dominion.
Okay.
But I will ask then that if we do that, can I also have pretty nice crossbows put in all along the sides as well?
Yeah.
So that so at least like those are set where they can fire from behind. And
so a fact like crossbow festooned ship is your fact or something?
Yeah, but they all look like birds, so it's beautiful.
Okay.
How about a flock of crossbows?
Flock of crossbows. Okay. Yeah, that seems doable.
Okay.
Tassos, what would you like to do, prepare, talk to before you set out on this next leg here?
I was thinking Tassos might stop in on Delak and Dala, the siblings, and say
they have taken to, because this seems to be what the kids can do around here, of just like running around the library and camping out places, and then coming back and taking trips that way. The little sort of brother sister language that they started with has gotten probably more elaborate as time has gone on.
I understand that not only have you been sneaking off into strange cities to get caught in the middle of rebellions that the professor has to babysit you through, you've also been wandering through
Oh,
strange
no.
regions.
We stayed with the professor. He said for us to wait and he would teach us a lesson. And he taught us the lesson
What did you learn?
that humanity is wild and crazed, and it only takes a little push to drive it over the edge.
And what have you learned from their dreams?
They don't know what they want.
I'm happy that we're able to deal with Abdralhim. The fear he was spreading was unnatural and corrosive. But there are others like him out there. There are others out there who are unnaturally empowered and hunting those around them. I don't think they're the same as Abdralhim. I don't think they're doing the same thing. But you children, especially you two, you have a connection to this web. Would you be willing to help me find out something else about the monsters related to Abdralhim? Things that are hiding in the dark unseen so far.
Certainly. You taught us not to fear them. We embrace them.
Good. Then we should go hunting. And I think Tassos puts a hand on either of their foreheads as the three of them sort of fall over in perfect symmetry and pass out. And they're trying to lead the kids, sort of use them as dream hunting dogs, sort of trying to follow a familiarity or a scent through them to see some vision, gain some knowledge, get some information about something else out there that was touched by the parasite god.
Certainly. I'm going to answer one of Sherry's questions in the chat here before I come back to the other people that you rescued were people that had various little magic talents and things like that. That was the other people that he was taking. These children that here were kind of unique.
Okay, so the seeds were what made them unique. I thought that
Yeah.
was the same thing. Cool. So we just have a couple of other kids that have magical powers.
Yeah.
I got them in school. They're learning how to use
And-
crossbows.
Yes.
And they may be junior members of the dream team right now, but
Yeah.
Delic and Dala, they're the real experience. I mean, they've had whole weeks to explore the dream realms. They're experts at this point.
Well, and here's the thing you find it super easy to make that connection, to fall into that, because they no longer fear the seeds inside them. They haven't fought back against it, and so those seeds have certainly grown and have developed, and they are much closer to this force that walks in the darkness in the jungles.
Interesting. Oh,
There's less of them there than there was.
so is that what I sort of find hunting with them?
I think that's one of the things you realize at first, is that
Interesting.
that these seeds are not quiescent and they are growing.
It's almost like someone else thoughtlessly shoved a bunch of divine energy in there without much guidance.
It's almost like that. Almost. I feel like you're kind of using your skills to do this. Your fear. Let's have you make a spirit save.
Oh, interesting. All right. That's a 17.
That is a 17. You will find yourself falling into the roots and earth blood of the places you know where this thing has reached and has put its influence and has gone. And these are small things around about it has been awoken, and it moves back behind. And I think you will suddenly realize this is not the only one. This force, it has brothers and sisters. They are not like it, but they are. And I think there'll be a crackle in your mind as you see in this gorge, in this pyramid, in this ancient place, a waterway, great enormous beasts walking nearby it. And you will see that there are four stairways walking up to the top of this temple. This temple of, and that's what you've got.
Hmm.
Does that seem like some information?
Yeah, and to be clear,
Yeah.
when you said there are other things like this, you're talking about the parasite god we've been hunting?
No, I'm
or...
talking about this dark figure that put the seeds in the children.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Parasite god is simply someone who had the seed sprout.
Gotcha.
Hence the roses.
Cool.
Tell me, what plant is associated with each of the kids now? Like what seed is in each of them? I think one of the things you also realize is you're not all that great with like people and stuff, right?
It's not always, no.
You realize these kids have gotten older. Like they were kind of
do that. That's
young
right. They grow.
teens, but they look like older teens now. Wispy mustache.
That does seem a little faster, but kids do this sort of ridiculous thing, right?
They do the darndest things.
I mean, people are always complaining about having to buy new shoes and stuff.
Exactly. So what plants were you going to say?
I think. Oh, okay. So I was thinking like some sort of vine, but I think it's like morning glories. Like
Okay.
Delak is morning glories, and Dala is moonflowers. Sort of opposite off of each other.
Okay. Excellent. Let's come to Threadless.
Awesome. Oh, let's see, what do I want to do? So with the assassins, what has changed for them? What have they chosen to do? Like, is this just a thing that's happening around them, us and the school and the library, or is this something that they're changing their ways or doing something?
Your influence has been to bring those orders together, for them to change and grow and adapt. You talked about sort of the idea of fertility before, that maybe they will adopt more in addition to, looking to do a generation of growth here, of turning their attention to that they recognize the need to change and grow, and that they will still take tasks and jobs and do things, but now they need to retrench. Because they've always charged forward and stuff, they've never stopped to take that breath, and you have done that for them.
All right. So I think the thing that I do is I say, we will be traveling. If I find someone of talent, I would bring them back, but what is it that you look for? And essentially, I want to, should we say, do what I can to develop the eye of what they need for the different orders in a person.
Their primary thing is to find those who have been wronged and are young and have survived. The ones that they have adopted, and if we look at the NPCs, that Eben and Townsekar, at the very least, are adoptees. And there are some others that they were in a place and something happened and they were the last, and they were taken in. And that is the primary thing that they
look for. So new
Yes.
family, traumatic loss, still healthy.
Yes.
Okay. Well, considering all the trouble we're going to be getting into, there's a good chance I'll wander across some of those people.
That certainly is a thing that could happen, isn't it?
Yes. All right. That sounds good. I just wanted to know that. And then other than that, I think that the thing I'm most concerned about is seeing if I can get Yashad to teach on the vocational side.
How are you approaching that? Yashad is very pissed after that conversation with Evedro.
I know. And I think that's the thing is it's like, I start out with, I don't know what to do with Professor Evedro sometimes. He speaks so.
I have a few ideas.
Really? I was wondering. And she kind of stops and she goes, I like a person who sees a path forward. I like a person who has certainty in their choices. She sort of turns and she goes, do you think that's a teachable thing?
Do you mean in terms of Evedro or more generally?
More generally.
Possibly.
She sort of stops and she goes, would you teach a seminar for my students? I think that they would be open to what you could tell them and show them.
Let me have you make a charisma roll.
Oh,
Do you have any facts that apply to this?
I do not know. Oh, well, I have my vocational orders. She is
Interesting.
ultimately a practical person in some ways.
All right, I'll give you that. Let's have you make
Okay.
that charisma roll. So you want to,
And also vengeance.
you want to beat an 8,
Okay.
and you have a +4 on your roll. So there's almost no chance you could fail.
I can do it, don't you worry. But I rolled with a +4, I rolled a 19.
Okay, so you
Right.
absolutely succeed at that.
All right. And essentially,
Yeah, yes, but only because you asked.
and she goes, I just want you to try it out. If you like it, we can work on something permanent.
Certainly, certainly. Plus, it puts me closer to Evedro.
Exactly. And if your classes show up anything that he's serving, popularity soars, he will never live it down.
Oh, I was mostly thinking of how to kill him later.
Oh, well, good luck with that. And
Fair
she kind of
enough.
slaps.
All right, so yeah, you can bring her back over to that side. Professor Evedro, anything you want to do before you set out here on this?
Yeah, I think I'm tired of playing a jerk.
Are we doing an Ordevi scene?
I have this idea that the meeting that Ransom called, where we're sort of going over all the problems of the world and thinking about how to deal with them, was maybe a little bit of a turning point for Evedro, where he had been thinking about this school as like, well, I'll show them, I'll build a school and I'll get to teach in it and no one will kick me out of the school. And now he's like, the world is a broken, terrible place and we need to fill it with smart people. And who better to do that than me and maybe Yashad. And I've also been thinking about what are the nature of my worshipers. And I think Evedro would feel uncomfortable with being worshipped himself, but he has this holy trinity of skepticism and curiosity and honesty. And like, that is what he wants people who follow him to worship, this holy trinity of sorts. And so mechanically, I don't know how this would work, but I want to influence the world to build up the reputation of the university, or actually maybe to sort of amplify the reputation of the university and then spend influence to try and attract some more talent, where the intent is, as he was listening to this list of horrible things that were going on, he realizes that there was a lot of that there are powers in the world that are trying to overtake a person's free will. And his aspiration is that learning and knowledge can protect people from these powers that are both magical, but also sort of corruption and vice and things like that.
So, let's see here. You've spent 1 dominion, and you kind of spent that on establishing the school.
That was to build the school, yeah.
To fill the school. And now you want to spread word or change the attitude. Like how do you want to
I think
phrase
the school, in my opinion, the school has a good reputation. It's just not really much beyond the island. And so it's like, you know, this is sort of his social media push, but whatever that looks like in this world.
So it's a pretty basic change. But you want to affect a geographic region.
Yes, that's fair to say.
So as they put it, to affect a region, to draw people like from 1,000 square miles around you, is 4 points.
Whoa.
It's once you get into those things where you're affecting a big scale. Now, the other way we could do this is just to do a greater recruitment as and abstract that for 1 point on your school, like you, or drawing from far and wide, something like that. Okay.
Could I invest with him?
I mean, I've got 4 points, but that would be all my dominion.
I have 2. I could give you some.
I think let's stick with the 1
Okay.
for the moment. Actually, no, I think it's 2 because you're talking about information flying fast, right?
Yeah.
Kind of implausibly
push.
fast.
Yeah.
Okay. So for 2 points, recruiting far and wide means that there are people, the worthy people from the far corners of this massive islands that will realize that this is where they want to go.
Yes.
So yeah, 2 points.
And is there a way, I mean, I guess the other thing is maybe to sort of, if this is an influence thing, to attract sort of high quality teaching talent.
Yeah, I think that's something that you can do with influence. Like you can invest influence on putting out the clarion call for new teachers.
I'm going to refactor that to spend influence to really make my ideas very clear in the curriculum, if that makes sense. Sort of
interesting. Okay.
I want to make sure I've got this Ransom's list of things that are bad scared the poop out of me. So now I want to do something about it. And I'm doing the only thing I know how to do, which is give knowledge to people. And I want to make sure it is done correctly.
Spend 2 influence.
Done.
And I think what that will end up doing, and this will be when you come back, you will have recruited a teacher who knows something about each of those problems.
Okay. That's great. I love that.
How does that sound?
Yeah. We put out an RFP.
Yeah.
We got folks to respond. We've got consultants now.
Oh yeah. Then you have to go through those 50 pages and a lot of them is just bullshit, where they're just following the forms. And the budget's just like that's pie in the sky right there. Absolutely. So I think that will get everything together. Let's take our second break for 5, and then we'll come back and we'll get set going. So the 4 of you will set up on the vessel, and you will take off for that land. Now, if you look at the map, you can see it's pretty much a kind of straight shot across from Bashala. Will take you to the largest river that kind of runs inland there, but you are going to have to essentially disembark at the marshy village that lays at the end of that. But you can certainly make that across. Tyler, why don't you roll me a d20?
All right. Oh. It's a 4.
It is a 4. So you will arrive there. The birds are very excited when you pull up at this village because there's lots of dragonflies and mosquitoes and all kinds of bugs to eat here at this place. But you will disembark. This is not a place that most people go. It leads to some inland villages. There are some small boats that do trading here. And it's one of those areas that kind of falls, you're on like the very, very southern point of influence for Lansena. And like when there are some of the Lansenan banners around, but they are tattered and like stained and hanging there. And there is essentially a Lansenan officer and with a garrison, which seems to be 2 people. And one of them is very old and ought to be retired. But he puts on his best outfit and armor when a big ship comes and presents himself as the prefect for this village here and for this region of Lansena. Though you suspect he has no idea what's going on in the capital. And he will say, what business do you have here, foreigners?
We've come to travel upriver to look over some of the area, perhaps to explore a bit.
Upriver lies not, but death and dangerous enclaves.
We are noted explorers. We are used to death and that sort of thing.
Will your ship be berthing here?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, like it takes up all of the dock space here for them. And
we can set off coast if it would be easier for
no, I just try
all
to
of your trade.
assess docking fees.
Of course. And I am more than happy to pay whatever reasonable amount you wish. I've always found that the Lansenans are quite reasonable when you give them half a chance.
Yes. He quotes you a price that he's chuckling to himself as like an outrageous price, but he's so out here in the provinces that you're like, okay.
Very good, sir.
And he will say, there are caravanserai traders who move and service the villages that go along. I will see who is scheduled to depart. They can help you along the trail as far as they go, and you can speak to them as to where you wish to head.
Thank you very much. May my friend, I'll kind of point over towards, is it Evedro at the moment?
It's probably the daytime.
Evedro.
Then do you have perhaps some maps or public records that we could look at to get a better idea of what's upriver?
Well, yes, I do.
Oh, I was asking him to let you look, but
Oh.
yeah, you got him, sure.
Uh,
Of course I brought a map.
this is like you have a map to where this temple is, but everything else is very abstract and like
Right.
not to scale and so on. And let's assume you speak with the caravanserai person, and they will say, they'll look at your map and they say, that's where you want to go, the valley.
What's wrong with the valley?
Oh, it's a cursed place.
Cursed? How?
It is filled with monsters and various environmental dangers there. And people don't go past Anjang. That's the last place. You don't go past Dog Mountain.
Okay.
But
Is there someone here who would be more familiar with the kinds of dangers that we would encounter there?
not here. But I am heading to Anjang with my caravan. So if you wish, you can, for a few coins, you can ride along, walk along with me. I'll get you to Anjang and you'll have to speak to the queen there. And see if she'll let you past.
Sure, that sounds great. Is there anything you need from us besides a few coins?
Whatever you're going to give me, I'm going to turn over into trade goods or rice or anything like that. So if you have goods you want me to you want to pay me with, I'll take those.
Probably not, but we may be useful along the trip.
My name is Risala. And she will look around. So it's just the five of you then? And I think that's probably the point at which you turn around, Tyler, and Legia is standing sort of in your shadow.
Yes, just the five of us.
All right. Yeah, you can hop on. And she points, she's got about a half dozen water ox, water buffalo that are on leads there, and a couple of carts. And she says you can hop on the back or you can walk alongside. And she will start taking you inland. It is a hot, dense, jungly area that you begin to move through.
You say this is a very large river, but I'm guessing, since we couldn't take the boat up, that it's not navigable. They don't do canoes or barges up the river.
It would have to be towed. The current is so strong out, and there are switchbacks and turns. It's not good or easy travel up via the river.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of spots too where the water is contaminated.
And Lowell, as we set off, I want to commit effort, and all of us, and more importantly, him and the animals, are tireless, thirstless, hungerless, breathless for the rest of the trip.
Absolutely, you can do that. You will note as you kind of gather together that there is a person perched on the first of her carts that looks looks old and decrepit and kind of clutching something to him, but definitely looks like not native to the area, who looks like another passenger. And she will tell you to get set, and she will take off. And these things, they are oxen, so they move with an oxen's pace along there. And I believe I can actually show you a picture. Here we go. So, like, Captain, what this is going to be several days. Even with the Hungry Tireless, they're not going to travel at night, but they're going to keep a good pace. So, you know, the low end estimation of a 3 days journey up is certainly going to be in play. Like, what do you do, Captain, when you're on here? What are you looking for? What are you saying to Lesia? What are you watching out for?
I think one thing I will do pretty early on is get to the riverbank and kind of put my hand in and feel out to see what sort of things live in the river.
It's a warm water river, at least where it is here. There are places along the side of it that are stagnant, where things have just kind of gathered. The thing that will strike you, you know, we've got all the river fishes, lots of carp, crayfish. There are lots of those big mouth fish that hide under the edges of things, that snap out. But the other thing that you will notice along here is that the river itself is kind of a greenish brown, you know, maybe even a lighter brown here. But in spots when there are like some like feeder tributaries and things like that, there's a weird thing where like one of the side rivers comes in and the water is purple. And it like roils in and it combines and then kind of eventually blends with the colors, and that kind of fades away. Probably the village that you stop in that first night, the end of that first day, kind of walk. It's like there's a village kind of in a little leave a couple of jungle mountains there. You can see that it's got a pond that is fed and that's in the center of town, and that water is beet red.
Is it good water or bad water?
Locals say, oh, it's fine. It's just a local water, just
Does
that
it-
color.
Does it dye fabric?
No.
What makes it red?
It's the soil.
Mm.
And they point, there are very few animals around here. Like, you're used to villages having like lots of livestock and things, but they're very few. The only thing you will definitely see is that they have a lot of rice farms up on the terraces here, and they are the most vibrant green rice you've ever seen. Just like almost neon.
Hmm.
But they're very polite. They will sit and chat with you and you know, trade rice for outside goods or things like that.
I'll make sure to sing a little song over the fire while we're eating to inspire a little camaraderie between everyone.
And yeah, and they kind of sit there. Tassos, what are you doing on this trip here?
You mentioned someone else that was riding along with
Yes.
us. I want to get to know and become best friends with them.
You go over to him. He kind of looks at you. He looks like he has the weight of the world on him. He is Now, you can see though that he's clutching to him a sword, and it glints in the light. It's a jeweled scabbard. It's a jeweled blade. It's gorgeous, and he's sitting there. He kind of tries not to make eye contact with you.
What's he afraid of?
Oh, he is afraid that he will never get rid of this sword. That is what he fears.
Are you traveling to the horrifying Valley of Monsters as well?
Looks at you. No, I'm traveling to Anjang, to Dog Mountain.
Oh, yes. What are you going there for?
Kind of clutches the sword a little bit tighter to him. He says, I am going to beseech the Queen of the Mountain to take this blade from me.
Do you not have any family you can leave it to?
Well, no, and I would not do that to them if I did.
Seems a nice sword to leave someone. Certainly expensive.
It hungers. Only the Queen of the Mountain can keep it fed, if she will take it.
Oh. What does it hunger for?
Blood, of course.
Of course. Could hunger for moss. I don't know.
Blood.
Have you thought about giving it blood?
He looks at you, and then he very carefully turns himself 45 degrees away from you.
Rude.
Threadless.
So we're in this rice.
What rice country? Like
rice
you,
country.
there's you can see that along for the small villages, but you're along this river that is kind of has some weird cross cuts and mud banks as you make your way upriver inland.
But it's interesting because they've got like all of the machinery and stuff that they use for, gathering the rice, threshing the rice.
That's interesting, because that morning when you get up, you will see that you hear the sound of plows, and you're like, that makes you excited, like a plow. That's the best.
Exactly.
And you will get up, and again, no animals around, but you will see these hand plows going, and you will see that they are being plowed by these human-sized rattan puppets.
What are these? I ask about them.
And they'll say there's servants in the area. If you're lucky and you have some, you have to spin together palm wood and spirit stuff. And then there are other spells to do, and they'll point out to one of them. And of course, you and Tyler both have hawk like vision, and you'll see that each of these puppets that's made of rattan has where the threads come out, and there's a fruit up on top, like an apple or an orange or something. And they say it, after the spell's done, it lasts until the fruit rots away.
Ooh. And she will inquire about the nature of the magic and who teaches it.
Oh, it's old folklore and so on.
And she goes, but someone has made these within the last 2 weeks, looking at the fruit.
Oh, it lasts a bit longer than that.
Mm.
And then they say, when it rots, then you eat it and you can make one. You eat the rotted fruit and then you
Oh,
put a fresh fruit on top.
interesting. I kind of look at them because I do have that sense of, of fertility and stuff. I mean, is that affecting them at all? Like, are they imbued with magic,
They
or
being who?
the villagers or whoever does this?
No, this seems to be just a thing that happens around here.
Wow. Oh man. Because I've never seen these anywhere, but I've only
It takes a
been.
while to weave the rattan together, right? And sometimes you have to undo if you don't get the limbs right.
Well,
But they're tireless, though they
let me
move
try. Do
slow.
you have some rattan?
That is a valuable resource, the villager says, suddenly realizing that they might be able to make a deal here.
Yes, I'm perfectly willing. I mean, I could get my own, but in the meantime.
No, it is nothing for you to make this.
Mhm.
They will say, you will have to let a fruit rot, though,
Any
or
fruit?
and it points to like the fruit that they have around here, the usual things.
Interesting. So it's a local spell.
It's in among the villages around here.
Hmm. Well, I'll tell you what, when I come back, I will check on this one, but if anyone wishes to use it, they're welcome.
I'll keep that in mind.
Because it is well made.
And what about you, Professor Avedro? What are you interested in here?
I think I've taken notice of the lack of animals. So I'm going to use the unveiled truth. And I'm just going to ask the world, where are all the animals?
They are kept to small numbers of them, but many of them are taken up to Dog Mountain. Definitely get that sense that they keep smallish livestock and things, but otherwise trade and tithes and things like that seems to be in living things.
Is Dog Mountain where the temple is?
No, what you'll kind of ask around about that, and you'll find that essentially you're going up a long river, hitting very small villages, some rice places, things like that. Eventually, you'll hit this area called Dog Mountain, which, from what you're hearing, is the largest, most important village in the area, and that there are roads branching north and south and so on. But if you go through the passes beyond Dog Mountain, then you reach this valley with this temple. And you're kind of talking to your guide person, this woman who's taking it. She says, Rosala says, why do you want to go to the valley? That's a bad place.
People keep saying that, but in order to make the world a better place, sometimes you need to go confront the bad things in it. What makes you scared of the valley?
I've always heard stories that it is a birthplace of evil, that there lies lies an ancient site from the Sundering, place of corruption, a temple that was lost.
Where do the animals go when they go to Dog Mountain? Are they being sacrificed?
And she kind of deflects that. Like she's like, there's a lot of need for livestock and such up in Dog Mountain.
So, you can't lie to me.
Can't I? Yeah, seriously, can't I?
Not wise.
I've had people say that to me before, but go on.
Why don't you tell me what really happens to the animals?
All I will tell you is this, is there is a tithe to be paid when you reach Dog Mountain.
Tithe to whom?
Tithe to the queen.
Ah. What does the queen do with these animals?
No, you misunderstand me. There's a tithe to be paid for you. You don't have animals. There are travelers going through. There's a tithe to be paid that they charge for anyone passing through. Even if you gift them with animals, they still need to pay the other tithe, which is in blood.
Really?
Yes.
How do you anticipate we would pay this tithe?
You would go to the tithe taker and they would draw blood from you.
How much blood are we talking?
A cupful. They have poultices and such to clot the wounds.
I see. Does everybody do this when they go?
Yes, I will. And she kind of gestures to her wrist where you can see, even with the clotting stuff, that she has a number of marks and scars there.
This is disappointing.
Is it? You turn away from your travel to the temple then?
Oh, no. We're going to the temple. But we may need to make a detour with this queen. I will consult with my friends. We will see.
She says, I would be very cautious about that. This is the queen's territory once we reach Zhanjiang, once we reach Dog Mountain, and trespassers will certainly not be treated well or welcomed.
Tell me about this queen. Does she happen to wear a mask?
No, just a headdress.
Interesting.
But she marks the boundary rather for the travel past the road to the Temple of Elemental Evil moves past her palace and into the valley.
Good to know. Besides these tithes, is there anything else threatening about her kingdom, her queendom?
She has many children. They fight amongst one another. I would take care not to get caught up in their conflicts. That is a good way to not survive. But if you present yourself well, can tell a story, and are open, you will certainly be welcomed at the palace.
You mean open to giving blood?
Yes.
What do you mean tell a story? She wanted to hear a story?
Absolutely. You come from far away. I'm sure you have stories to tell.
Well, I don't. tell stories, but my friends do.
And I think it is on that third day as we get towards evening that you can see Dog Mountain. It has kind of the ears at the top that sort of, you can see why it would call it that. You can see that the sort of village and path kind of, it all kind of walks up towards the higher end. You can see the palace, which looks like that. And she will say, that is Anjang. Prepare yourselves for the tithe. And that's where we're going to stop. Does that sound reasonable? 2 XP. Shall we do a quick stars and wishes? Let's go reverse order. Dan, I'm going to start with you. Stars, wishes.
You know what? I appreciated the meta talk in the middle of the game, just to be like, hey, what are we doing? What do we focus on? What's important to us? So I can't remember if it was Tyler or Patrick who had suggested it, but
It was really good.
It was really good. It was very healthy. So star for that, and star to Lowell for showing us pictures. I don't know. I feel like it's getting to my bedtime, so this was sort of like a story where I got to see the pictures. But I realized I own Thousand Islands.
Yeah.
So I've been cutting and pasting pictures into the notes.
Oh, okay.
So now in our notes file, we've got those some of those pictures.
Excellent. Yes.
Wishes.
Yes, this is Anjang, the queen on Dog Mountain. So
do I have any wishes? Just my usual. I really enjoy character interaction, like us chatting with each other. So more of that. And I can't wait to see how badass this queen is.
excellent. Sherry, stars, wishes.
I really am enjoying seeing how people are creating their or spending their domain and their influence. That's been super fun. Again, I think it's the most fabulous kind of world building in some ways, that little bit that you go, this is it, this is my vision, this is the fort I would make myself. So the best in that. And I sort of am really enjoying people, how do you say, gathering to them their NPCs, you know, and then those NPCs getting to enjoy the our particular natures, or not enjoy them, but survive them, hopefully. So.
Wishes?
I don't know. So far, we're going in pretty much a direction I'm looking forward to. I hope that we'll see some cool things and we'll do some cool things.
Excellent. Patrick? You're quiet for some reason.
There we go.
There we go. Yep.
Okay, sorry. The stars, I will give a star to playing more of this. Looking forward to having yet another period to like spread out and explore into, so that we're not quite so rushed with all of the interesting things going on. We have to touch them all. We have to do all the side quests. I enjoyed getting to play around with NPCs, but in particular, I was sort of surprised and delighted by how the kids have become like weirder and creepier and a little like not less human, but less normal.
I hope that's okay. I wanted to kind of give you something to play off your dynamic a little there.
No, I like that. I like
And just
seeing the way that you're
yeah,
interpreting
yeah.
like Tassos's influence on them.
And the meta talk is they're not going to transform unless something terrible. So just know that that's a stakes threat in the fiction, but you know I'm not going to do that without you kind of pushing for that or something like that. So that just want you to know.
I do like it as a like a growing part of their characterization as like a flavor thing for them, and I sort of enjoyed finding a role for them to be like a channel or an entryway into this network, these connected people. That's sort of interesting. I really enjoyed the setup stuff around the school and the poor ever put upon Tentefa, and I really liked Evedro and Threadless like batting Yashad back and forth between them.
Good stuff.
that poor amoral bird woman. And Tyler, I liked Ransom's focus on like our home is a home, and like we should be our own thing, and we should put our stamp and our feel on it. And we should go further. We shouldn't stop affecting things around us. And it sort of ties in. I agree with Sherry. Like one of my favorite parts of the system is growing to be like figuring out the influence and the dominion, even if it's just for like headcanon stuff where I can sit and think about all the weird little dream adventures that the siblings have had, even if we never talk about them. Wishes. I don't know. I think in general we're pursuing all these interesting threads, and I want to keep pursuing them. On a like party level, I feel like I've interacted with Threadless less than the other two. So maybe in the journey or maybe in the temple, I'd like to get a chance to hang out with Threadless just because we both have very weird and very like idiosyncratic viewpoints. So I want to see how that mixes.
Idiosyncratic's a good word. Good word. Tyler.
Yes. Huge star to you, Dan. I really enjoyed several things that went on. I liked the things at the school. I liked the interaction with the NPCs, but I really liked your kind of working through for us the change you were wanting to have and the way you are thinking about what's going on. That was brilliant, and I'm glad you shared it with us so we could be on it with you.
Yeah.
I thought that was just marvelous. Patrick, I really enjoyed you dealing with the kids. I thought that was neat. Kind of maybe the scariest of all mentors, but still at the same time, there's something that's sort of, I don't know if sweet's the right word, but nice about your concern with them. Maybe not for them. But I thought that was really interesting. Sherry, I really appreciated and loved your excitement on doing things on the Sea Wing, and I thought that was magnificent. And again, the things in the school with the NPCs and you and Dan back and forth with that was just lovely, fantastic. And I really like this sort of Heart of Darkness, deep into creepy story. This feels like it's got a lot of spooky ooky, and I'm all for the spooky ooky. As far as wishes go, I do want to see more of the kind of scary we're getting into. I I want to see the atmosphere of being here in this, you know, kind of forlorn, you know, the green death sort of feel. I love that whole ambiance. I think that's really neat.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate the meta conversation, and I appreciate you going, hey, we should run more of this, and getting that set in stone and getting it all approved. So I don't have to think about it too much more. So thank you all. I'm going to stop the recording.